Cancer touches us all. Like so many of you, Jill and I have learned that we are the strongest in the broken places. 6 months, the president, at least 6 months, not 3 months. There's no way Joe Biden wasn't showing earlier signs of cancer. No way. Now, Trump responded to this, says, Melania and I are saddened to hear about Joe Biden's recent medical diagnosis.
We really do need to be honest about whether the former president was capable of doing the job.
And they all just lied to us. Probably lied to him too. Joe Biden has cancer, and apparently they just learned about it, if you believe that. He posted this on X, says, cancer touches us all. Like so many of you, Jill and I have learned that we are the strongest in the broken places. Thank you for lifting us up with love and support. There's Dr. Jill, who was responsible for abusing this dude for years with their cat and Joe. And cancer absolutely sucks. And we are not a fan of cancer, and we have empathy for anybody who's going through cancer, because at some level, we all are human beings. Even if you don't like the man or the woman or the person that that human being has become, we're still human beings, and cancer just sucks. So Joe Biden posted that, and here's the official announcement. Statement from the personal office of former President Joe Biden says, last week, Joe Biden was seen for a new finding of a prostate nodule after experiencing increasing urinary symptoms. On Friday, he was diagnosed with prostate cancer. Come on. Characterized by a Gleason score of 9, grade group 5, with metastasis to the bone. While this represents a more aggressive form of the disease, the cancer appears to be hormone sensitive, which allows for effective management. The president and his family are reviewing treatment options with his physicians. It's like, come on. I have shared with you guys, I just got my full blood panel workup, whatever. They tested for PSA. I'm not the president. The doctor went over my PSA numbers with me, and I'm going to go get another test 3 months later. And we're just going to keep an eye on these things for this current environment of my life, for this current season, because I'm trying to be a healthy person, and I'm not the president. So you'd imagine that the president, if I'm going to do a year of, let's say, quarterly blood results just to make sure everything's good, is the president not doing that every quarter, every 3 months, or more rapidly? Somebody's not checking his PSA scores? While this represents a more aggressive form, they're going to talk about treatment. We'll see what comes from that. And Mike Cernovich was out on this too. And Cernovich, you know him, he's on X. He says he gets a blood panel every 6 months, right? Which is kind of more of a standard schedule. But right now we're trying to, validate all my levels. 6 months, the president, at least 6 months, not 3 months. There's no way Joe Biden wasn't showing earlier signs of cancer. No way. He's been sick for a while, and the story's coming out now to distract from the other issues. Yeah. And it's right, timed with the book release, and he's just been getting abused over these last couple of weeks and months after the Her Report audio came out. Everybody's going, oh yeah, there's a giant cover up. Here's what Cernovich posted. He posted his results. PSA 0.79. That's good. But Doc said, if your number's under a 1, especially at this age, the statistical likelihood that you're going to get prostate cancer is low, right? That's why you check those things. Keep an eye on them. Just run them. How did Joe Biden not have that identified? This other doctor, Dr. Stephen Quay, says prostate cancer is the easiest cancer to diagnose when it first starts, and to watch it progress to the bone and its metastases. The PSA blood test shows the rate of cancer cell growth. For even with the most aggressive form, it's a 5 to 7 year journey without treatment before it becomes metastatic. Meaning, it would be malpractice for this patient to show up and be first diagnosed with metastatic disease in May 2025, right? So they knew about it before. It's highly unlikely he was carrying a diagnosis of prostate cancer throughout his White House tenure. Highly likely, and the American people were uninformed. And that is in and of itself a scandal. Now, Trump responded to this, says, Melania and I are saddened to hear about Joe Biden's recent medical diagnosis. We extend our warmest and best wishes to Jill and the family, and we wish Joe a fast and successful recovery. Posted that over on the internet, which of course is a nice statement. JD Vance was asked about this on the airplane. Here's what JD said.
Speaking of Joe Biden, sir, do you have any thoughts on his diagnosis?
Yeah, look, first of all, of course, we wish the best for the former president's health. And, it sounds pretty serious, but hopefully he makes the right recovery. I will say, whether the right time to have this conversation is now or at some point in the future, we really do need to be honest about whether the former president was capable of doing the job. And, that you can separate the desire for him to have the right health outcome with the recognition that whether it was doctors or whether there were staffers around the former president,
what happened?
I don't think he was able to do a good job for the American people. And that's not politics. That's not because I disagreed with him on policy. That's because I don't think that he was in good enough health. In some ways, I blame him less than I blame the people around him. And why didn't the American people have a better sense of his health picture? Why didn't the American people have more accurate information about what he was actually dealing with? This is serious stuff.
Yeah, Joe Biden might have been abused. I mean, we're making fun of Joe Biden here for the last several years. He can't hardly walk. He's falling downstairs all over the place. Dude's like riddled with cancer. They didn't tell us about that. Here we are, we're like, the guy can't even walk up a flight of stairs. Well, it's probably because he's got tumors all over his body that nobody told us about. Maybe he doesn't know about it either. And his brain is gone. In addition to his body being gone, he's probably pumped full of chemicals and all sorts of other drugs. And they all just lied to us. Probably lied to him too.
And this is the guy who carries around the nuclear football for the world's largest nuclear arsenal. This is not child's play, and we can pray for good health, but also recognize that if you're not in good enough health to do the job, you shouldn't be doing the job.
Yeah, it's really quite shocking that everybody else would enable it. It's like if you keep bringing your grandma to the bank to withdraw her account, you're responsible for that. It's hard to blame grandma who's just like, no, I'm just providing for my kids. They told me they need it and I got $1 million in there. So, it's elder abuse. There are criminal laws on the books for this, by the way. Happens all the time. It just happened to happen in the White House with our president. JD Vance nailing that one. Kamala came out shocked. Backhand Doug and I are saddened to learn of Biden's prostate cancer diagnosis. Yeah, right. Come on. We are keeping him, Dr. Biden, and her useless PhD evidently didn't connote any medical skill set to her, and their entire family in our hearts and prayers during this time. Joe is a fighter, and I know we will face this challenge with the same strength, resilience, and optimism that have always defined his life and leadership. Now, we are hopeful for a full and speedy recovery. Okay, thanks, Kamala. Obama came out. Michelle and I are thinking of the entire Biden family. Nobody has done more to find breakthrough treatments from cancer in all its forms than Joe. And I am certain he will fight this challenge with his trademark resolve and grace. We pray for a fast and full recovery from Barack Obama. And so do we. We hope he recovers. Mike Johnson says, this is certainly sad news, and the Johnson family will be joining the countless others who are praying for the former president in the wake of his diagnosis. Speaker of the House coming out and saying that. But Newt Gingrich, the former Speaker of the House, has also said this. The scale of corruption and manipulation in the Biden presidency will dwarf any previous presidency. This is not about Biden. He clearly had no idea how he was being manipulated. I think this is truer and truer by the day. Pew Research reported on January 17th alone, he granted 2,490 commutations, more in a single day than any prior chief executive had granted over the entire presidency. Okay, it's like the kids ransacking the candy store. You put that bowl of Halloween candy out there on Halloween and they just come out and take the whole thing. Punks, that's what happened. No one believes Biden decided on 2,490 cases. Give me a break. The question is, who did decide and why did they decide? You can go through case after case and wind up asking who are the real presidents, in fact, behind the cognitively impaired puppet pretending to be the president. Absolutely right. Now, bunch of reactions to that post. Here's another doctor who said this. Congressman Greg Murphy, MD, says prostate cancer is diagnosed by a blood test called prostate-specific antigen, or PSA, as well as rectal examination, which is the finger in the boot. Now, makes me wonder why someone running for president of the United States, especially someone who is elderly, did not have these examinations. Screening is critical. Yeah, and the question is, did they give him the test? It's like, do they even want to know? Do they care so much? It's like, don't ask, don't tell. I don't need to know. It's fine. You can walk still. So that's fine. Just give him the smaller stairs. Don't need to check for that. So that's a congressman who's asking about it. And there's been some other clips that have been dug up here. Remember this exchange over from CBS? This was before the election. And they were reporting this right after Joe Biden dropped out, handed the keys to Kamala. Biden's family was acting like he was dying. Here was this exchange from CBS.
CBS News had a brief conversation with Frank Biden, one of President Biden's two younger brothers. And here's what he told us. He said, I'm incredibly proud of my brother. Selfishly, I will have him back to enjoy whatever time we have left.
What?
He is a genuine...
Whatever time we have left? Why? Is he dying soon? That's the other reason they might be publishing this stuff right now. because he might be running out of time. God forbid. We hope he makes a full recovery and they're able to do something about this. One of his cancer moonshot operations comes in, saves him, saves Scott Adams, saves everybody. But the time that we have left, it sounds like the family knew a lot that we didn't know.
And hero, country over self. It sounds corny in our cynical political environment, but he nor I are cynical. The goal remains the same: defeat Trump and continue the work that Joe has done. My hope is that our party rallies around this heroic act. We asked him whether he feels that his brother's overall health and vitality played a major role in this decision, and he says, in my humble opinion, absolutely. So a member of the president's family now confirming that the president's health was indeed a major factor in this decision, and calling his brother a hero for making the decision to pass the torch to Kamala Harris.
Yeah.
So Nancy, sorry, can you clarify that the family is saying his health was or was not a factor?
He's saying that in his humble opinion, yes, the president's health and vitality played a considerable role in his decision. It's important to note Frank Biden is not speaking for the family writ large. This was simply a conversation between CBS News and Frank Biden. Unclear how much input he had in this decision, but he says that he believes that his brother's health did play a role, and he says that the goal remains the same: to defeat Donald Trump.
Well, that is notable because to date, the family, the White House, the establishment has rejected the premise that there was anything that was challenging the president's mental acuity or his health, and that all these accusations were baseless, that it was just age and a few, difficult nights like he had on the debate stage.
Yeah, a few difficult nights. The dude's on the debate stage covered in cancer, prostate cancer. And they're like, no, he's probably good enough. Just give him another pill and shove him out there. So they knew about it, right? Obviously they knew about it, and they didn't tell us about it because they had an election to win and they didn't care. Remember this too? His so-called doctor, Biden's doctor, February 28th, 2024, not long ago. Biden's doctor declares him fit for duty. Did they check? Give me a break. It's the president of the country. It's not some guy at a coffee shop, right? It's not us, me. It's the president. So doctor, that's malpractice, right? Did you check his PSA? Does he have cancer that's in his bones? You're supposed to make sure the president is functional. Now, here was another clip of Joe. This was a while ago. Biden says that his mother was using the windshield wipers because there's oil all over the place in Delaware. Delaware has the highest, he says, cancer rates in the country. Maybe this is why he got it and his son got it.
And because it was a 4-lane highway that was accessible, my mother drove us, and rather than us be able to walk. And guess what? The first frost, you know what was happening? You had to put on your windshield wipers to get literally the oil slick off the window. That's why I and so damn many other people I grew up have cancer. And why for the longest time, Delaware had the highest cancer rate in the nation.
What? You got cancer, Joe? That's not good. So this other doctor came on, Dr. Zeke Emanuel, went on the Joe Scarborough show. Eric Doherty clipped this for us, says Dr. Zeke Emanuel just went on MSNBC to say, oh yeah, this dude definitely had cancer during his presidency, probably back in 2021.
You believe it is likely, if this prostate cancer has spread to the bone, that he could have had it for up to a decade, but certainly it's likely. Would it be fair to say it's likely to have had this for at least several years?
Oh, more than several years. You don't get prostate cancer.
So I just want to stop you. So this is not speculation. If you have prostate cancer that is spread to the bone, then he's most certainly, you were saying, had it when he was president of the United States.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
He did not develop it in the last 100, 200 days. He had it while he was president. He probably had it at the start of his presidency in 2021. I don't think there's any disagreement about that.
And I'm just curious again, if your doctor to President of the United States that is a male, that is an older man, would a prostate test, and again, we're just talking about a PSA screening, a blood test that you could do along with all the other blood tests. It's not even that it would be intrusive. Would this not be one of the first tests that you would conduct as a White House doctor?
If you're a White House doctor in this situation, I think you would certainly discuss it with the president and talk about the pros and cons cons. I think if you then ask, well, if President Biden says, well, if I'm your father, which patients often do, what would you recommend? I think the fact is that most White House doctors would recommend getting the test.
Everyone.
And again, the evidence is, look at President Obama, President Bush, younger than President Biden, and they both got the test.
Other presidents get the test. Why didn't they give it to Joe? Probably because they knew. And if they tested for it, then they got to tell you about the test. So now they just don't ask, don't tell. They just abused Joe for 4 years. Who knows what they were doing, man, what they were giving him to push him through this. But this doctor is unequivocal, right? Even Joe Scarborough, you saw his face right there before they swapped the camera. He's talking about this. Joe looks up, watch to the left, looks up over here, right there. That was Joe pondering his entire future and his entire existence right there, looking off. He's like, wow, I'm a total moron. Yeah. Turns out everybody else who was noticing things with Joe was right. He had dementia and cancer, and who knows what he was riddled with throughout his body to make his performance what it was. But Joe was telling us he's vibrant, man. He's glowing. Stop it. He's so vigorous out there. He's doing circles around me and my Brzezinski on the Morning Brzezinski show. So it's really pretty obvious. And don't get me wrong, I think that it is absolutely convenient for them to announce this right now on the back of the original Sin book and on the back of the Her report and all this stuff, because they want desperately to change the narrative. And that's exactly what's happening here. Brian Stelter and the other guy, Axelrod, are saying things like this right now. It's coming out. It's like, Joe's got cancer, so you can't talk about his administration. You can't try to question the pardons or undo any of his executive orders or invalidate any of his other actions. You can't do any of that. Stop it. Conversations about Biden's mental acuity should be more muted and set aside for now as he's struggling with this, is exactly what David Axelrod said when he was doing his hagiography on this with Van Jones and Jake Tapper, 3 of the biggest liars on the planet who covered up for Joe Biden, are now going to sit around on like a bro session on CNN. Hilarious.
You were on the record in 2022 voicing concerns about Biden's age and ability. Whom do you blame for the decision of him to run for re-election and the decision to hide his declining abilities as much as they were able to?
You hit it too, Jake.
Well, look, at the top end, you have to blame him because he made the decision, but he was, and your book reflects this in many different ways, he was shielded by a coterie of advisors and his family. They were in this confirmation bubble, and they tried to shield the world from his decline, and they tried to shield him from his own standing and his polling numbers and so on. And so at the end of the day, I have to point the finger at the people around him who didn't do him a service by encouraging him to continue.
Who are the people around him? Were those MAGA insurrectionists who were abusing him? Were those Trumpers in their red hats? Or was that the entire Democratic Party, the entire institution from top to bottom? Every single governor, every single senator, every single news anchor who's on TV right next to you in the box over, along with Van Jones and all the commentariat. Every single person was a part of that. David, so were you. And now you're going to come out and talk about it like this amorphous third party that nobody can identify?
I think it was obvious to the public. It may not have been obvious to a lot of politicians.
Or you people, but it was obvious to us. And don't, Jake, don't come back and be like David Axelrod commented on his incapacities or something like that. Maybe like twice or something, but when the time is to get on board and get on with the Democratic team, they don't deviate from that. There's no dissent in that party at all.
I actually think it was, but it wasn't politically wise in their judgment to speak out. But it was obvious to the American people, even before that debate, that the president was just too old. He would have been closer to 90 than 80 if he had won re-election, and he already was showing decline. So I blame the people around him, because real loyalty, and it's hard when you work for President Jake to tell them hard truths, but real loyalty demanded that they say, Mr. President, it's just not there and it's not in your interest, and it's better for you, the country, and the Democratic Party if you leave now.
Van, I remember how emotional you were in the immediate moments after the June 27th, 2024 debate because
a lot of them
what
were,
you saw on the stage.
Their whole whole party was collapsing right in front of their eyes. And it was something we all saw. We all called it. We're like, Biden is not there. He's going to get obliterated. He came out, did get obliterated. But up until that moment, guys like Van, guys like Axelrod, guys like Tapper were lecturing Laura Trump, saying, how dare you make fun of his stutter?
And with all this new reporting coming out, and I should disclose that I gave both of you copies of the book so you would have a little bit more information.
Before our podcast session on CNN.
Do you feel like you were duped, Van? Like, how do you feel?
Duped? Yeah, Jake, I was duped by you reporting and covering for this entire administration.
First, this book is extraordinary. I don't care who you are, left, right, or otherwise. Anybody who cares about this country.
It is extraordinary that Jake would have the gall to write a book about his own cover-up and then blame somebody else for it. It is remarkable. It's quite shocking in terms of arrogance and maybe psychopathy.
And about just the dynamics of power. This is the emperor's new clothes playing itself out in real time. Everybody knew, but everyone was afraid to say, except for David Axelrod, for 2 years, that something was wrong here. And so,
We were not afraid to say it, Van. And if you couldn't see it, then you're an idiot. And if you didn't talk about it and you did see it, then you're a coward. So pick one.
I was shocked. I love Joe Biden. I don't like him. I love him. I got a chance to work with him when I was a part of the Obama administration and loved him more every day. I was shocked to see his condition when he came out. And so was the world. And that wasn't the first time he was in that condition. The book makes it very, very clear. There are people who knew and said nothing. And that is a crime against this republic. And I think the Democrats are going to pay for a long time for being a part of what is now being revealed to be a massive cover-up.
Yeah, he's right about that, man. Sometimes Van Jones is right. Broken clock can even be right twice a day. And Van Jones hit it on that one. What's so pathetic about this is they were all in on it. Like they were all on the Democratic team. All these guys sitting here with their pursed lips and their puppy eyes. How did this happen? What happened? It's so confusing to all of us. We're so smart, but we don't know what we did. Yeah, you know what you did. And now you're trying to distance yourself from it because you guys just got caught propping up a demented cancer patient as the president of the United States. It is a crime. And Van Jones is right about that. And there should be criminal prosecutions afoot. Here was Joe Biden with his cancer walking up the small flight of stairs. You almost feel bad for making fun of the dude. Didn't realize he was covered in tumors. Tumors everywhere. Barely making his way up there. Like, gosh, horrendous what they did to him. Now, Ed Martin has posted about this. He says, "Dear fellow Americans, the integrity of the American pardon system requires that we examine the Biden pardons and who did what. We will get to the bottom of it. Count on us. All the best, Ed Martin, U.S. pardon attorney." We're happy to see that Ed is going to dig into that.